Doctor? Doctor, I found a potential problem.
Everything has problems if you look hard enough. But fortune favors the bold. It's time to show the world what we've done.
That's right, Doc. It's time to change the face of entertainment as we know it. But funny enough, it's already happened. And with all that said, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans and Merry Marvelites to another very interesting Marvel Games related video with another amazing special guest I'm lucky enough to have on the channel today, and we have collabed in the past, which isn't anything new, but the topic that we are going to be describing here is a very intriguing one, which is going to go over a multitude of aspects within the entertainment industry, ranging from the movies, shows, and of course the video games, all pertaining to Marvel. And today I am joined by the one and only Comic Blast Keenan, who we also did a collab on his channel, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already. Keenan, thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing?
No, thank you for having me on the channel, and specifically on this topic, because this is one that I'm passionate about, and I can kind of already tell that we're going to see eye to eye on this topic. So I'm so happy you were able to get me on the channel for this one. This is going to be a really good one.
So it's pretty safe to say that both Keenan and myself are major fans of Marvel in general, and of course DC as well, but mainly focusing on the realm of Marvel. This ranges from the comics, the cartoons, the TV shows and live action, the movies within the MCU and out of the MCU, and of course the video games. But for this topic, we are going to be describing exactly why we believe that the future of Marvel pretty much lies within the realm of video games. There is a lot of interest to be had within the comics as well, and the animation department, what we're going to be seeing this year with Across the Spider-Verse, which is going to be awesome, but the major marketing appeal that has been coming from Marvel recently has lied within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all ranging from phases 1 through 4 and going into the future with 5 and 6, with the newer movies and TV shows on Disney Plus being a big backbone for Marvel's financial income. This ranges from each movie pretty much raking in millions upon millions of dollars to almost reaching billions of dollars in profit in the intertwined nature of these films, ranging from Avengers Infinity War to Endgame to the upcoming Avengers movies with the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, to each of their individual standalone films with the recent release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and a lot more films that are going to be releasing in the near future with no end in sight. But because of this might actually be to the downfall of Marvel due to how frequently they are releasing these projects with not a lot of time to polish the visual aesthetic of some of the CGI elements that these films entail, but also in terms of actually creating an impactful story within some of these films. I myself haven't even seen the recent Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania movie, but the reviews that film has garnered pretty much speak for themselves, as well as the lackluster reception that some of these Disney Plus shows have received in their recent releases. And all of this in turn is creating the MCU to become a much more stagnant piece of entertainment to the much more vibrant, innovative, and creative realm that the video games are having when looked at in comparison.
So I should give a little bit of background. I love films, I love movies, and especially I've loved the MCU for the past 10 plus years. However, I must admit, since Avengers Endgame, I feel like there has been a major dip in quality, and there might have been a dip in quality a few movies before Endgame, but because of my excitement for Endgame, I kind of looked past that and just really was excited for that build-up of the finality of, you know, these character arcs. I find that the reason I ever showed up for these MCU films, starting back in 2008 with Iron Man and then Captain America, Thor, the reason I came and watched these films was for the characters. They made stories about characters. And now I feel Marvel Studios is really focused on selling the MCU and has focused less on selling these characters and great stories. So as time has passed on, I've kind of taken notice of that, and I find myself less interested to go and seeing these movies because I don't feel like I'm really getting an experience with that character. I'm more so getting an experience of the whole MCU, which just doesn't really strike my interest. Nowadays, especially with the release of Marvel's Spider-Man in 2018, I find myself getting more excited for Marvel games than movies, which is rare, not something that typically has happened for me in the past because I tend to gravitate towards films when it comes to characters. Now, so I'm out of my mind excited for every new Marvel game that's going to come out. Going back to Marvel Spider-Man in 2018 and Miles Morales, and now we have Marvel Spider-Man 2 to look forward to. We have an Iron Man game. We had an amazing Guardians of the Galaxy game that completely blew me away, and I felt bad for not giving that game a fair shot when it initially was released, but I probably played it a year after it was released and found out it was one of the greatest stories in video games in terms of a superhero story. I find myself really looking for these standalone experiences with these characters that don't feel so connected to the whole other universe that it's in and other characters that are out there. I'm kind of just dying for that experience now, and I finally see that I'm getting my fix through these video games. Not all of them have been perfect in the same way that not all of the MCU movies were perfect. That's totally fine. But I find more often than not, I'm just excited to get to experience these characters and actually get to play as these characters in their own standalone stories. And I feel like there is a shift coming when it comes to Marvel fans or just superhero fans in terms of maybe people want to go experience these stories through a video game as opposed to going to see it on the big screen. Like you said before, I feel like there is a little bit of dip in quality with the MCU movies, and I find that as time goes on, the quality of superhero video games is increasing.
I totally agree, because there is a lot to dive into when it comes to the realm of video games, and this might just be my personal bias talking, since I myself am a gamer at heart. I always have been. I do love seeing the majority of these Marvel movies because I am myself a diehard Marvel fan, but the realm and the possibilities and the innovative nature that can occur within video games is so much more intriguing than any movie or TV show could ever hope to accomplish. And this doesn't just relate to the gameplay side of things in terms of different genres of games that we have seen in the recent releases, with an open-world action-adventure game with the Insomniac Spider-Man franchise, or the more Uncharted-esque linear action-adventure structure of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, with a little bit of RPG elements thrown in there, or much more of a deeper RPG like Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is an incredible game, and even the upcoming releases of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Wolverine, the Captain America Black Panther game, and the Iron Man game, as well as even more single-player action-adventure third-person oriented Marvel games coming from EA in the future. That's just the tip of the iceberg as to what Marvel Games has in store for all their future projects. And knowing that that's going to be enhanced even further with the addition of next-gen consoles is going to make experiences that are exclusive to the next-gen platform, specifically of the PS5, like Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine, that much more incredible by the time we get our hands on them. But again, besides all the gameplay possibilities that these titles can embody, it also has been proven that the financial possibilities that each of these games can hold is even greater than that of their live-action counterparts. In the case of Spider-Man PS4, which originally released in 2018, only tied specifically to the PlayStation 4 platform, it went on to become the highest-selling superhero game of all time. And even more than that, it has now earned over $1 billion worth of revenue from its overall sales, and the game itself, when it initially launched in 2018, outperformed the opening weekend box office for Spider-Man Homecoming, which at the time was the recently released live-action Spider-Man film which alongside of that was the first ever Spider-Man film to release in the MCU. And knowing how big of a brand the MCU is, it's insane to see how well Spider-Man PS4 did in comparison. But in my opinion, I think it actually makes more sense considering the amount of freedom that you as the player have when playing a game like Spider-Man, since in that case, you are Spider-Man. You are the one swinging around the city. You are Peter Parker. You are experiencing the struggles and the duality that that character faces both in and out of the suit. You are him. And that is the greatest interest that video games can provide to the consumers at large. And that is why I will always be way more excited if a brand new Spider-Man game is announced in comparison to a Spider-Man film, or even the recently released live-action Spider-Man Noir TV show, which is probably going to be very interesting. But if they were to do a completely standalone Spider-Man Noir game, chances are I would be way more excited for that in comparison to the show.
I think those are all really great points, Evan. Me, myself, coming from more of a film background, I've personally found that it's been a little bit easier for me to transition from the films and my excitement for the films now that I have these games to look forward to. For example, I'm not the biggest fan of the MCU's Spider-Man. I feel like it's heading in a good direction right now, but I wasn't a huge fan of Spider-Man Homecoming or Far From Home. However, the impact of that didn't really bother me as much because I knew that when I got home, I could go turn on my PS4 and play the version of Spider-Man that I enjoy the most. And that will always be there for me, regardless of whatever else happens in the films. So it's been really nice to transition over from being more of a film Marvel fan over to a game Marvel fan.
I definitely think that there is a lot of interest to still be had within the MCU for all you MCU fans who may be watching this video, because there are a lot of projects that I'm actually looking forward to see how it will turn out, especially with the Avengers films, with Kang being the main antagonist, and what's going to happen with the Secret Wars and who could show up there. There's a lot of interest, especially seeing these characters in live action will always hold a special place in my heart. But as someone who does heavily prefer the realm of video games above any other form of media or entertainment out there, the innovative nature that each of these experiences will garner in the future and even now is going to be absolutely sensational by the time we see more of these games release in their fully completed state, with even more stories and experiences to dive into from a multitude of perspectives, genres, and just having the amount of freedom that the developers can have to tell their own unique stories in their own unique way, while also allowing the player to experience that story for themselves in a way that cannot be reached from any other live action property or any other form of media in general. And with all that said, everybody, that is the video that Keenan and I both have for you today. Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about the future of Marvel as we currently know it? Do you think that Marvel Games is the future of Marvel entertainment as a whole? Do you think the MCU has become stagnant? Or are you someone who is equally a fan of both the games and the films respectively? Let us know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I could not do this video without the one and only Comic Blast Keenan joining me today. Thank you so much, Keenan. I had a wonderful time.
Thanks, Evan. I look forward to collabing more with you in the future as we gear up for Marvel Spider-Man 2.
And with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and stay merry, Marvelites, and peace out.